One night, John gets home to his wife Karen, but the vibe is totally off. They barely speak and end up eating dinner in separate rooms. It's clear their marriage is on the rocks. They eventually sit down together to watch the news and hear about a virus that's spreading fast. John's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, blaming Big Pharma for the whole thing, but Karen just tunes him out. John mentions he's going to grade some papers before heading to bed. Karen clearly has something on her mind, but she decides to save the conversation for the next day. The next morning, John hears a plane flying dangerously low. Seconds later, it crashes nearby, tearing a massive hole right through their roof. Karen finally tries to talk to him, but John rushes out to see the wreckage. Because he's in such a hurry, he completely misses her telling him that she wants a divorce. Outside, John sees the plane smashed into a building which has started a huge fire. His neighbors warn him that people are going crazy and biting each other. He runs back home to tell Karen while sirens blare all over the city. They look out the window and see the horror for themselves. Infected people have turned into zombies and are actively hunting down others to feed on. The couple stays glued to the news and Karen starts drinking as reporters warn everyone to stay barricaded inside. When they check their food stash, they realize they're dangerously low. The stress hits John so hard that he runs to the bathroom to throw up.
Karen convinces him to go raid the neighbor's apartment for supplies. She points out that the hallway should be safe and that, honestly, nobody cares about breaking the law anymore. She promises they'll take turns. A few minutes later, John returns with food, mentioning the neighbor's door was wide open. Now it's Karen's turn, so she gears up with a helmet and gloves, even taping a knife to her shoe just in case. Before she leaves, she tells John to get the moving boxes out of the closet to store their haul. When she gets back, John asks if those boxes were because she was planning on leaving him or if they were just for storage. Karen just says yes and leaves it at that. Later, she sends John out again, this time to grab the neighbor's big screen TV. That evening, the news anchor announces that this is their final broadcast. He tells everyone they'll be back once things settle down, but for now, stay inside and avoid all contact. The military's evacuating people, so anyone who needs rescue has to put a big X on their window. They're told to listen to the radio at 3 p.m. for daily updates. They tape the X to their window, and that night, a helicopter flies right past them without stopping. The next morning, John catches Karen coming back with even more stuff.
She says she couldn't sleep, so she spent the night scavenging other apartments since they don't know how long they'll be stuck. John makes her promise they'll return everything once the pandemic ends. He's pretty annoyed when he sees that Karen wasted energy grabbing non-essentials like fancy dresses. Fearing a zombie break-in, John starts looking for ways to defend the place, even making a DIY flamethrower with a lighter and hairspray. Karen helps him round up every knife and hammer in the house, and they even gather flour to use as a smokescreen. At 3 o'clock, a government official on the radio admits they still don't know what caused the outbreak. They claim only certain parts of the world are hit and promise they're working to keep the lights and water on. To kill time, the couple starts playing cards. John tries to stay positive, arguing that humanity always bounces back from stuff like this, just like the Black Plague. But Karen is fed up with his optimism and starts drinking first thing in the morning. When John calls her out, she snaps back that she's been drinking every day for a year and he was too oblivious to notice. He follows her into the nursery and they finally address the elephant in the room. It turns out they lost their baby daughter and their marriage never recovered. Karen thinks they're as good as dead, but John swears they're going to make it.
Determined to be ready for a fight, they start working out together, though Karen doesn't put down the bottle. One night, they hear a knock. John hopes it's a rescue team, but when he opens the door, a zombie lunges at him. They barely manage to shove it back and lock the door. That afternoon, the radio mentions a scientist working on a vaccine. The lack of real information is driving them crazy, so they decide to light up to take the edge off. Cigarettes aren't cutting it, so Karen reveals she's got a stash of the hard stuff she swiped from the police evidence locker at work. John is shocked, but ends up joining her. Karen calls him a chicken, but says she's proud of him before laying out her entire collection of illegal substances and a handgun. She even admits that the last few times they were intimate, it was only because she spiked his muffins. Instead of being mad, John decides he wants to try more of her stash. They spend the night drinking and watching old VHS tapes. The next day, Karen is startled awake by a gunshot and the sound of breaking glass.
It's just John practicing his aim. He accidentally broke a bowl Karen's mother gave her. He points out she hates her mom anyway, but she's still ticked off. She goes to the bathroom and sees a rescue chopper fly right over their street without stopping. At breakfast, John says yesterday was a wake-up call, and they need to prepare for the long haul. Their first move is putting the broken bowl pieces outside the door as a sort of alarm. Then they turn their alcohol stash into a pile of Molotov cocktails. They keep training and keep using the happy powder. At 3 o'clock, they check the radio, but there's no broadcast. Right then, someone knocks on the door. They grab their hammers and crack the door open to find their neighbors, Leo and Emily. The neighbors explain they were trapped in the laundry room when the plane crashed. By the time they got out, zombies had taken over their place. They figured someone was alive in here because of the broken bowl outside. They're starving, so John and Karen head to the kitchen to prep some food. Both couples start whispering and bickering.
Emily tells Leo that Karen lost it after the baby died and found out she couldn't have any more kids. She also complains about Karen taking her laundry notes down.
Meanwhile, Karen tells John they shouldn't be sharing their food and grumbles about Emily's annoying post-it notes. John insists on helping, so Karen suggests they lace the food with drugs to kill their guests' appetite. During dinner, Emily realizes the TV and the dresses Karen is wearing actually belong to her. Karen asks what their plan is, and Leo says they'll leave if they aren't welcome. Karen doesn't have the guts to kick him out, so Leo offers to help clean up. They spend the evening drinking, though Emily keeps a tight leash on Leo whenever he gets into a debate with John. When bedtime rolls around, Leo and Emily are pissed to find out they're sleeping on the floor. While brushing her teeth, Karen rants that the neighbors think they're better than them just because they have a bigger place. She decides to help them stay because she's worried about being judged once the world goes back to normal. That night, Karen gets intimate with John, making extra noise just to annoy the neighbors. Emily takes it as a challenge and starts getting loud with Leo, too. The next morning, Emily hogs the bathroom for ages just to spite Karen.
After breakfast, Karen tells the guests they need to earn their keep by cleaning. While they work, Emily complains that cleaning is below them. Leo suggests they just leave, but Emily wants payback. They plan to wait until John and Karen are asleep to overpower them. They see Karen napping and think about moving now. Karen wakes up and pulls John aside, telling him she overheard their plan. Believing the neighbors are out to kill them, the couple decides to strike first. Karen bakes some special cookies laced with drugs, hoping to just knock them out or freak them out. But she overdoes it. The neighbors eat so many that they both end up overdosing and dying right there on the couch. Shaken by the fact that they're now murderers, John and Karen take some of their stash to numb the guilt. Suddenly, Leo and Emily start twitching. They're turning into zombies. Karen doesn't hesitate and shoots them both. They dump the bodies in the other apartment and spend the next few days in a drug-fueled haze. They're taking uppers to stay awake and sedatives to crash.
They sleep so soundly that they miss a rescue helicopter shouting for survivors to turn on their lights. The next morning, Karen decides that if they're gonna die, they should go out with a bang. They do more drugs and spend a long time being intimate. Later, while sharing a bath, Karen says she wants to adopt a kid when this is all over. John agrees. They realize they still love each other and want to make it work. They plan a date night, where John admits he buried himself in work after they lost the baby. He says the apocalypse actually gave him a new perspective on what really matters. After a movie, they're about to get busy when someone knocks. A voice claims to be the rescue team. Karen opens up, but it's actually 3 thugs who burst in and knock her down. They hold John at knife point and demand his valuables, while the leader drags Karen into the bedroom. When he lets his guard down, Karen throws flour in his face and hits him where it hurts. She grabs a pair of scissors and stabs him repeatedly in the neck. The other 2 thugs run in to see what happened and go after Karen.
Just as they're about to grab her, John shows up with a gun and takes them both out. They dump these bodies in another apartment and have a drink to settle their nerves. Suddenly, they hear a real rescue team outside. They rush to the window, but the soldiers can't see them. They decide to make a break for it. They find the hallway packed with zombies. John tries to hammer his way through, getting covered in blood, but there are just too many. They're forced back into their apartment. The helicopters are gone. Karen starts panicking because the food is almost gone. John promises they'll figure it out after they get some sleep. In the middle of the night, Karen finds John sharpening their weapons and checking the batteries and the flashlights. They suit up, share a final kiss, and head back out to fight through the horde. But once again, they're overwhelmed and have to retreat. Back inside, Karen reveals the nightmare scenario. She was bitten on the leg. John tries to stay calm, telling her that maybe she won't turn or that a vaccine is coming soon. That night, Karen realizes her tastes are changing. She can't even stand the taste of wine anymore. After a terrifying nightmare, Karen tries to leave the apartment. When John stops her, she admits she has a hunger she can't control. John cuts himself and pours his blood into a glass for her.
She drinks it and feels better, but she points out that he can't be her personal blood bank forever. John snaps, telling her it's his choice and they just have to wait for help. He hugs her and apologizes. Karen says she can smell his blood and tells him to cover the wound. Later, they cry together as they talk about the future they'll never have. Karen considers ending it all in the bath, but can't go through with it. John brings her more blood, and she drinks it desperately. That night, they get intimate one last time, completely sober. The next morning, John finds the bed empty. In the bathroom, there's a note from Karen thanking him for the life they had. She says she's terrified of turning into a monster and wants him to end her life. She tells him to go to the nursery. John walks in and finds Karen already zombified and chained to the wall. She has a sign on her chest that says, "Love me, kill me." Sobbing, John tells her about the life he wanted for them. He drinks to numb the pain. He raises his gun to finish it. Just then, a group of soldiers bursts in. They finally saw the X on the window.
When they enter the nursery, they find John and Karen are both zombies, their arms taped together. The captain calls it love just before another soldier mentions a new law. Zombies aren't people anymore, and they have orders to shoot on sight. The soldiers kill them both and leave. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more recaps. See you in the next one!